going on? Now, I said I was getting out, gonna start doing more videos and more content outside instead of being in the house. I've been in the house all day doing work, trying to make more content for my multiple channels. I have a whole lot of channels. Well, I'll say a whole lot. It's like three channels on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, all of that good stuff. So I'm everywhere. So being in the house that long, man, it's not good for you. So I decided to get out and do a live outdoors. Everybody, each and every one of you guys should get out and do more outside. It's already hard enough trying to make stuff happen and make moves as it is, and then you get cabin fever being indoors all the time. So get outside. Get outside. It's too nice to be inside and not take advantage of it. Make sure y'all can see me. Yo, it's rush hour here now. Everybody is getting off work. So it's like 5:05. So everybody's getting off work. That's why you hear all the traffic. Yeah. So I want to jump on live today. Make sure that I continue to stay active. Challenge myself to stay consistent. Stay consistent. You know, I've had multiple videos in the past talking about consistency and commitment and being committed to this whole process. And you cannot be consistent unless you are committed to the process. And that's the hard part, you know, committing yourself to any process, especially if you're new or you're not a veteran at the process. And it gets very discouraging when stuff doesn't happen the way you want it to happen. And so that's one of the hardest parts of staying active on YouTube and on different platforms is when you're, especially if you're really trying and stuff just is not hitting the mark like you want it to hit. It's very discouraging and it's very difficult to stay active on these platforms, stay committed to the process. And if you're not committed to the process, you're not going to stay with it and stay active and stay committed. You know, you have to be committed and you have to really be disciplined and stay consistent. That consistency is not going to come unless you're committed to this whole process, good times and bad. And just to, you know, and it's a lesson for me too, because I'm not. When I looked at YouTube and thinking about what YouTube was, it was just a platform to me, for younger people to get on or people just to show their cat videos or a way to store your home videos. But as I began to get older and look around and really understand what marketing is and what the world is and how the world is changing from yesteryear, you understand that social media and as well as, you know, YouTube to as well in there is the way to go. You're not going to be able to scale your business. You know, you could be lucky. You could be in a business that, you know, takes off leaps and bounds and you don't have to worry about, you know, the internet as much. But for 90% of us, the way the world is moving now, and especially me being in real estate, people see you. People are going to see your online presence and look at whether they want to use you or use your services or not. And you try to get around it. And a lot of people, you know, especially if you're having aversion to getting on camera, you're not going to want to do it. But that's just the way the world is right now. That's the way it's going. That's the direction the world has moved in. And if you don't get in, if you don't get it with the times, you're going to get left behind. They say the same thing about the AI and Chat GBT and everything AI. If you don't get on the bandwagon and use AI to cut some of the corners, the mundane corners and parts of the process, you could possibly get left behind. So that's just another thing to learn. And you got everybody out there that is, you know, trying to be a content creator that is trying to scale their business. You're going to have to continue to learn. You're going to have to get out the mind frame of you getting comfortable and everything happen, the stuff happening the way you want it to happen. It's not going to happen like it is not going to be in your favor for you to get in that mindset and stunt yourself. That's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to stunt yourself, and then you're going to wait for that truck to go by. You're going to stunt yourself, and then you're going to wonder what happened. um, you're gonna have to get out of that mindset, you know. And if you are in a career where you're a W-2 employee and you really want to move to that 1040 aspect of it, you want to be a contractor. That is definitely a mindset that you're gonna have to get away from, you know. And it's not easy. Most of us in the states were indoctrinated to be W-2 employees. We're indoctrinated to be a worker, and you just don't listen to me. You go out there and look at any content creator that will talk about society and all of that stuff, and they'll tell you the same thing, that the Rockefellers and all these different families created the school system, and the way they created the school system, and they curated it for a way to enable them to make workers, mass producers, and to continue to have workforce after workforce after workforce come in, and you're not really thinking about it, you know. And you come in, you know, you're getting to that mind frame to where, you know, you come in and then you want a paycheck. Well, and they have all the power. The people that you're working for have all the power, and then you're left out there alone, um, dependent on someone giving you a check. And you begin to realize when you pull yourself out of the W two mindset. When you pull yourself out of the W-2 mindset and you start working for yourself, trying to work for yourself, you'll realize real quick that that whole system did us a disservice. Because even if you're a hard worker, and that's the one thing they say all the time, well, he's and she's a hard worker, and they have a go getter attitude, and they are, you know, the right person for the job. You still don't know how to do anything but salute. Yes, sir. No, sir. Give me my check on Friday or Thursday, or wherever you get your check. And when you get out of that world, you are still in a mentality where I show up, but it doesn't pay dividends, right? You're getting up every morning. You're making your calls if you're in sales, or if you're trying to sell your own product. You get up and you show up like you did at your other job, ready to work hard, but then nothing happens. So you get discouraged. I've been there. I understand. And that is the difference between what the elites are taught when they are grooming them to be the leaders, and what they teach us. And most of us, especially the millennials, are finding out the hard way. You know, they told us all we had to do is, you know, go to school, work hard, get good grades. When we get good grades, we're gonna be millionaires, and we're gonna have big houses and all this stuff like that. And lo and behold, we're all looking at each other like, what the heck happened? I went to school, I went to college, I got XYZ bachelor's degree, or somebody else done this, and we're still out here. Half of us are still out here not making enough to get the things and do the things that we want. But in all actuality, if you can stick out there, if you can find a business, if you can find a business that you want, or that you really feel like you're going to strive in, that you really want to do, then that's what you need to do. You need to figure out, especially in this times, nothing is for sure. Nothing is for sure in the times that we're living in now, and it's the worst thing you can do to yourself right now is get too comfortable. You should not get too comfortable in any job. And there are people that say that, well, I got this good state job, and I got this good XYZ job. And you don't really realize that at any time, if the numbers aren't right, if the numbers aren't there, if things aren't going, especially in this election period coming up, if things aren't going the way they think it's going to go, and they panic and they feel like they got to trim the fat, please believe, I don't care how hard a worker that you are on the chopping block. You are on the chopping block, and at any time they can pull the rug out from you, and they don't owe you anything. They don't owe you a service package. They don't owe you none of that. They'll just let you go, and then, maybe they'll hire somebody else, that, and pay them less than what they were paying you. That's usually how it goes. That's usually how it goes. Yeah, the sun's just going down, so the lights all crazy. But yeah, that's what I want. Number one, I want everybody to challenge themselves to figure out how to make a second stream of income from them for themselves. I don't care if it's selling clothes. I don't care if it's selling candy. I don't care if it's providing some kind of service. Get um, what is the a notary, being a notary or something that you can move around and make your own money and put a little bit of power back in your pocket to ultimately become as self sufficient as possible. Because at the end of the day, you are all you got. You are all you got, especially if you're a guy out here. If you're a man, you have to realize that you are all you got. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save you from anything. And being that I have sons, and I have daughters, you already know there's a lot more things out there and a lot more people and a lot more programs to help young girls than it is young boys. And young men, I don't know what they're doing to the young men today, but you guys got to realize that we can't always be number one. We can't always be number one. That's the first thing you got to realize, and we're gonna talk about that in a little while. And we got to guys got to toughen up. It's okay. And I understand they're on this thing to where they want young men to not be toxic and all this stuff and have toxic masculinity and all that stuff, which is ridiculous. But the guys got to toughen up. You got to know and understand, and they're raising men, young boys, into men that are looking to the ladies behind them to help them out. And in the end of the day, they're not. You know, they're not coming, and they're not going to help because at the same time they are taught something different. They are taught that you're still supposed to be the protector and the provider, and at the same time they're telling you that everybody's equal, and it just doesn't mesh up. So we have to start telling our making being realistic and being real with our young men. Another motorcycle go by. Being realistic with our young men and letting them know that nobody's gonna come and save them from what's going on out here. They're gonna have to be themselves, do it for themselves. They're gonna have to understand that people are gonna be looking to them to be the leader. And if they're not prepared to be the leader, they're gonna fumble. They're gonna fumble the ball. The young men, I think, but young men also have to learn how to use their hands, even if they're gonna be doctors and psychologists and all that stuff. They got to learn how to use their hands in whatever they're doing. They're going to have to know that if something breaks down or if something you're in need of something, that you always can't look for somebody else to help you or lift a hand or to help you out with that thing. And I understand that everybody's not mechanically inclined. That's not the thing. The thing is that you need to have a general understanding of what you're doing in this thing called life. You don't want to be taken advantage of. It's like cars. I tell my daughters this too. It's just like cars. You don't want somebody to be able to come in there and take advantage of you when you take your car to the shop. You have to know that what an alternator is, what's wrong with that alternator. I might not have the tools. I might not have the tools to change that alternator, but I do understand what that alternator is and what's wrong with my car, and it is that alternator. That's all that I want fixed. That's the kind of things we need to prepare the next generation. And I was thinking about this they have this thing. They talk about generational curses. People talk about generational curses all the time, and they make it seem like it's this hocus pocus thing, and it's really not this otherworldly thing, but it's really not. You know, um, you think about the stuff that your mother and father dropped the ball in. We're millennials, so our mother and fathers are were boomers, and they dropped the ball in different ways. About spending money, about getting good jobs, and not really preparing for the future. And the generation before them, Jay dropped the ball because the silent generation, because how hard and quiet, and just push yourself through everything. So me and us not teaching the next generation the things that they need to know in order not to bump their heads the same way they that we bumped our heads is what a generational curse is. Now, if we continue not to tell them what we seen messed up, get messed up, or what we were lacking growing up from our mothers and fathers, God rest their soul, if they're not here, if from our grandfathers and grandmothers, the things that we seen that they actually dropped the ball on, we should in turn tell them how not to hit their head and how not to drop the ball in the same fashion. Now, if we just turn a blind eye and not worry about that and try to worry about how we're going to make it through ourselves selfishly, then that's what is a generational curse. Because your generation after you should not be making the same mistakes you did, should not be making the same mistakes your mother and father did, and should not be making the same mistakes your grandmother and grandfather made. They should not. If your grandmother and your grandmother uh, was a single a single mom by choice, or a single picked the wrong man and turned into a single mom, and her daughter turned around and did the same thing, and then that woman's daughter turned around and did the same thing. That is a generational curse, regardless if you like it or not. I'm not saying everybody's situation is the same. I'm not saying everybody's fault that they got in the situation, but it is your fault when you do not tell that generation how to get out of that, get it out of the same things that you did. That is a generational curse. That is a generational curse. If I have bad spending habits and I know how to do right, but I'm not doing right, but I learned later in life how to do right, I should in turn teach my child financial literacy, the do's and don'ts, and not to make the same mistakes I did. That way, you don't have to have a harder life. And don't get me wrong, I understand every there's a difference between not making the same mistakes that you made and not working hard. And that's another thing too. We have to stop telling our next generations that we want to make sure that you go to college so you don't have to work hard, or we want to make sure you do this so you don't want to have to work hard. No, you need to learn how to work hard. You just don't need to do foolish things. You just don't need to make foolish mistakes. There's nothing wrong with working hard, getting up and working hard, because that discipline and that commitment and working hard is the things that are going to take your kids and your grandkids to the next level. It has to be some kind of hard work ethic in there for them to be able to do the things that they need to do. There's no other way about it. And it's a total different thing. Total different thing than making mistakes and being smart is a total different thing than just not working hard at all. That was a great disservice too. Telling kids that they need to go to college so they wouldn't have to work hard. You know, I want you to be able to do things that I couldn't do, and eventually we get in a situation like we're in now, where one generation, two generation, three generations are all going to college trying to get out of working hard. You know, and there's nothing wrong with hard work. You're going to have to do it sometimes. You're going to have to lose sleep sometimes. You're going to have to go without eating the thing that you want to eat sometimes, and that's all a part of learning and growing and having the fortitude and growing those calluses on your body and your hands and your mind to be able to push through hard times. That's okay. That's okay. It ain't nothing. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. And I'm just a guy. I am just a guy doing the same thing that a lot of people do. I'm the a man of the people, and I wanted to people to really understand that we are. I am myself, and a lot of these creators are just human themselves. And when we get to a point to where we're idolizing people, and just because of the sake of who they are, and we begin to diminish ourselves and think that we can't do the same things that they are doing, but that is not the truth. And that's why I called this live today, challenge yourself. That's what I wanted to talk about today. The intro was the intro, but that's what I want to talk about today. um, and challenging yourself is in all aspects of life. It's in your food. It's in your health. It's in keeping yourself healthy, keeping yourself active. It's in challenging yourself to doing new things in the career field that you're in, or challenging yourself to take on extra. That's what I am going to be talking about here in the next couple of lives and the next couple of pre-records. Hopefully, as long as I'm okay. A few years, I went to years ago. I went to the doctor, and they were telling me, I didn't feel good. It was on a Sunday morning. It was not too long after Kobe Bryant had passed away, and then that's one thing that helps me remember. Kobe Bryant had passed away, and I just didn't feel good at church, and I went to. It was bad enough that I went to the doctor. And the doctor checked my blood pressure. Excuse me. It was like 160 something over 110, and of course, for years I didn't check my blood pressure, and they were telling me I had high blood pressure. So that's the first time they put me on a medication. I think it was like lisinopril or something like that. Lisinopril, and then they put me on that was what I took for a little while, like a few weeks, and then that stuff wouldn't really work. So I went back to the doctor, and they put me on another one. That's lisinopril and amlodipine. Amlodipine, they put me on that one, and it seemed to work okay. It seemed to work okay. And then of course, I don't take it like I didn't take it like I supposed to. A lot of people don't. And I had started to exercise, but then I wasn't consistent exercising. So eventually I went back, and they were still telling me like a year or so ago. Later they tell me the same things. Y'all, the stuff not doing well. Your blood pressure is pretty elevated. You got to take care of that. And same thing. Went back, started exercising. And there it is again, that loop of being inconsistent and not being committed to the process. Um, and my ankles gave out, and I was hurt, and it took me like 3 to 6 months to get back to the way I was because I pushed myself too hard. Um, and then life goes on. Life continued to happen. Work continued to happen. My previous job got so bad, stressed me out so bad. My blood pressure was rising again, and of course, I wasn't eating the way I needed to eat. And then I'm right back in the same situation, that same loop. And I'm beginning to realize that a lot of this stuff is because of not being committed to any of one process. Anything will work. A lot of these processes will work if you stay committed to it. If you want to take medicine your whole life, you got to stay committed to the medicine. If you stay committed to your diet, you got to. You want to do a diet, or you want to change, not a diet, but changing your life. And eventually, I'll get to that too. With what you eat in your lifestyle, then that's what you do. You stay committed to it, and you watch your work, because our bodies are machines. We are wonderfully made creatures, organisms. And what I'm beginning to realize as I research and I look and I read and I read and I read, they tell people, especially African American people, that we are, a lot of us are defective, and we have defective genes, and that's the reason why a lot of us have such high blood pressure and all this stuff like that, and why blood pressure medicine in general doesn't work as good as other people. And that's a bunch of bull too. That's a bunch of bull. When I looked into it, like Dana White and some other people, he had the same issue with his blood pressure. They gave him like maybe a year or two to live, but and they started looking into how what he did in his lifestyle, what he did, what he was eating, what he was doing, and they looked at some genetic markers. And I'm not a doctor, but from what I read, there is a genetic deficiency that people have, or genetic a gene that hinders them from getting rid of this protein, which in turns, restricts the arteries. And a lot of the chemical compounds that are in these things are in spinach and folic acid and things like that. The very same things that when our parents tell us to eat our vegetables, eat our green vegetables. Why? They didn't know why, but the green vegetables are good for you. Um, and those things, like in those green vegetables, help break down that protein, and to get rid of that protein, flush that protein out of your system, and then in turn helps you have lower blood pressure. These are the things they don't tell you. Now, like I said, I'm not a doctor, so just take this as for entertainment purposes only. But the thing is, when that happens, when you know you have elevated blood pressure, and that's just what it is, and they can't figure it out. When I went to the hospital, I took EKG, I had EKG, I had X-ray, I had CAT scan, none of that. Didn't have any blood clots, didn't have any clot, didn't know what was wrong. When you go into the doctor and those things keep happening, and when they don't know what's wrong, 9 chances out of 10 is that. Now, it turns out that you might just have to be a person that cannot eat a lot of this junk that they're putting in the foods now. You can't eat a lot of this processed food. You can't eat a lot of the meat. You can't eat a lot of the red meat. You can't eat a lot of even me. I'm finding out I can't eat a lot of chicken because of the cholesterol and things. Every time that I eat chicken for multiple times a week, I end up my blood pressure is shooting right back up, and I'm in the same position because I'm a genetic wise, I'm not in horrible shape. I'm not in started out in not the best shape, but I'm not in the horrible shape. But you, I'm just a person that cannot eat a lot of that stuff. And I made the decision to challenge myself to become a pescatarian, a 90-10 pescatarian. That means 90% of the time I am a vegetarian, 1% or 10% of the time, which is on Saturday, maybe Sunday, I'm a pescatarian. I'll eat a little fish. That's the way it goes. I don't break diet. I don't eat a lot of candy. I don't eat candy at all unless there's some organic canned Skittles variant that I have a couple pieces a week of that. But carbs, I don't eat mostly no carbs. If I do decide to eat bread, it's going to be homemade bread, and I know it doesn't have all that extra salt and stuff in it. And that's just is what it is. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. It's the same thing why people can't lose weight and they say, well, this diet doesn't work. Well, they say this diet doesn't work because they only did the diet for 2 weeks and they didn't lose 38 pounds like they thought they were going to lose, and they decide not to do what? Be consistent. And they're not committed to that process. They are not consistent, and therefore they don't lose weight. And all of a sudden it's the diet's fault and it's not your fault, right? Any diet that you get on, and if it puts you in a caloric deficit, you are going to lose weight. Point blank simple. I don't care if you ate a piece of chicken breast and you ate a piece of broccoli every day, or broccoli every day. That's all you ate. And you stay below X amount of calories and you burnt twice as many calories you took in, you're going to lose weight. It's going to burn. If it doesn't have any, your body doesn't have any other choice but to do that. It has to live on something, and it'll have to burn that fat in order to keep that energy going, your brain functioning, and all. That's just how our bodies are made. That's how our bodies are. That's what our bodies do. But yeah, that's what I am challenging myself to do 90 days in that 90-10 pescatarian lifestyle. I'm not adding extra salt. Any season that I have is salt-free season. If I do have any bottle of season, it's 2 shakes per the whole thing. That's it. Plenty of water, no soda, no Gatorade because it has too much salt in it. Gatorade has way too much salt in it for people that are just living basic lives. You only need Gatorade if you're going to be extremely active, intensely active every day. There's no other reason to have drink Gatorade. Um, and to see the results at the end of the 90 days. That's what I'm doing. And if it works, if I see my blood pressure stay at a certain level, then I know exactly what happened right there, and I know this is the lifestyle that I have to continue to keep for the rest of my life. That's just what it is. But that internally, that same drive, that same commitment and determination to do that thing, what I'm trying to do is the same thing I'm trying to tell you guys that you need to do. You're gonna have to do it in all things, not just that. If you no matter what, you're gonna have to be determined and stay consistent in whatever you're doing. I'm not gonna be able to see the results unless I was consistent, unless I am consistent. I got my running gear on now. Sun goes down. That's where I'm at. I'm headed right back out to the streets to do a run. Last night I ran 3 miles in a 9.9 minute 5:58 second average. Not the greatest, but when I started a couple months ago, I was at a 12-minute mile. Those are the kind of things that we need to keep doing. And our health is so important. A lot of the stuff that we're doing and that's happening to us, we're doing it to ourselves. A lot of it. No matter what you look at it, we're not getting the results we get out of life because we're doing a lot of it is we're doing it to ourselves. I know it's hard because we can't see the end result. We can't see the end goal. We don't know if we're going to win or can succeed the way we think in our mind we should succeed. So it scares us if we don't want to feel like we're wasting a whole bunch of time because we don't the end goal. We don't know if we're going to make it the way we want to make it. But it has to be better than where we are now. There's no way that you can start and be consistent and be in the same place you started at. It doesn't matter if you made it the way you want to make it. What matters is you're better than what you were a week ago. What matters is you're better than you were a month ago or a year ago or so on and so forth. That's what really matters. We need to get it out of our minds that we're going to have this grand fairy tale ending, winning Rocky Balboa, you know, social media kind of ending. It doesn't happen like that for 99% of the people, and we need to realize that. And this is what we need to do as a people, as a United States, as groups. We need to realize that and do that. It's not going to happen the way we want it to happen. And the first thing we need to do on the journey of doing any of this is to understand that each and every one of us are regular people. We are not special. They did us another disservice by coming in and telling us that each and every one of us was special and each and every one of us were winners. And just to get out here in the world and get slapped in the face and understand and just get reset it, and our whole lives have been lied to because they told us that we were special, and we don't, and we're not. 99% of us aren't special, but that doesn't mean you have to stay not special. That doesn't mean that you have to stay at the position that you are right now. Great men, great women are not born. Great men and great women are made. They're forged. They're constructed into the beast. They're constructed into the weapons that they are in the future. They are casted and forged out of iron into the very things that they wanted to be in life. Most people aren't given silver spoons. Most people aren't special. And to start any journey, you guys got to realize that it sucks to get slapped in the face to realize that you are nothing special. That you are just a regular working check receiving what do I do now kind of person. And when you realize that, when you realize you're just a regular person and I don't know what to do or how to do it, but I'm going to find out what to do and I'm going to find out how to do it and I'm going to push myself to be the best I can be at it. When you realize that, when you get to that point, the sky's the limit. But you're going to have to break yourself down. You're going to tear yourself down and rip and deconstruct yourself all the way to baby status to build yourself up and to be a wonderful wall tearing down machine. Look, guys, that's 30 minutes. We're 30 minutes into the live stream. For the few people that did come through, thank you. I appreciate it. This is Aaron EBM. We're live outside the den. Just have to be more consistent. So I wanted to get on live and just make sure that if you got anything out of this video that's live, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure to go and subscribe to the channel. Trying to build my channel back up, change it and do something a little different because each and every one of us needs help, needs guidance, needs support in the world, especially in the future that we have coming towards us right now. Trust and believe we're going to need each and every one of us to push each other forward. All right, guys, I appreciate it. Stay self sufficient as possible, eat healthy, drink water, and continue to make moves. I'm out.